It's been a while.
It's a good day today.
I mean, it's okay. So, one, this is gonna be a big recap episode of the last 7.
Probably probably further than
7 or 8 months.
Probably closer to 8 months.
So, and also I'm about to fight soon, so I haven't drank in a while. So this is the drunk cast, where we're gonna do a little bit of drinking and we're gonna recap everything.
But we're doing something different this time on the YouTube, right? Because you're gonna.
So okay. Welcome back to Taboo Talk.
I know.
Fuck, it feels so good to say that.
I like that.
I've missed this, man. Legitimately, I've missed it. But yeah, so I have decided that I had so many ideas for stuff I want to do for podcasts, everything from this to the fight stuff and everything else. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to put it under one banner. So going forward, the channel will be the 7 Nations Squad. That's how we're going to do this. And it'll have Taboo Talk, it'll have TKO Talk that I have with Landon, and we're going to try to feature more regional fighters and stuff like that, not just always talking about UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to promote...
You're talking about just locally, right?
Yeah, you know how that's how I am, though.
Yeah,
I want
absolutely.
to, like, I've been fighting, which we'll get to all the changes that have happened since the last time we filmed, but I always like promoting local people. Like, I've got no animosity for anybody or any camp. So we want to do that, and then I want to bring Champcast back, which is like I'm sure you watched it. It was me talking to people that I deemed champions of their industry and shit like that. I had Trey on. I want to get Trey on again because what a jump that's been for him. Wilder.
Yes.
Because before one I did with him before he blew up.
I mean, what was it? You guys were doing it in his apartment, wasn't it?
We were in the garage of his apartment at the time, and it was this tiny little thing. We were freezing shit, and it was. There's more details about that day.
There's a lot that's happened because then he went viral a little bit after that, and then he had his gallery. Yeah, and now he's just blown the hell up. He's blown the hell up.
So for those who don't know, one of my boys, Trey Wilder, he and I trained together for a long time. I did a podcast with him on the Champcast,
which was 3-4 years ago.
It was a while ago, and I literally said to him in this podcast, I can't wait for the day that you blow up and you're painting murals for a living. Well, then he did, I don't know if y'all remember this. This can probably pretty much figure out exactly when it was. This is when all the Kaepernick stuff was going on with the kneeling and shit. And Dak Prescott and the Cowboys were like, we're not going to do that. So Trey painted Dak Prescott with the get out sunken place face.
The tears.
Every news source picked that shit up. Everyone was talking about it. I think he was on ESPN or some shit like that.
Yeah,
they talked about
he was all over the place.
Let's put it this way. He went from like 2,000 followers on Instagram to 11,000 in the course of like 5 or 6 days. I remember I just texted him. I was like, your prices went up, huh? He goes, a little bit.
Yeah, quite a bit.
But now all he's doing is painting murals for a living.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I've told everyone around me, I only surround myself with people that are fucking hard workers, that are solid fucking people, and just awesome, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I know at some point you're just gonna be doing photos for a living, and that's it. I know Landon's just gonna be training people, and that's it. Same thing with Derek, and I know I'm gonna be just fighting and doing this stuff, and that's what I like. It sounds so cliche. I love seeing my friends succeed and do what they want to do and be happy.
Well,
because y'all being happy means a lot to me.
Well, it's a huge difference between just wanting for somebody to be happy and then genuinely want somebody to succeed without any kind of animosity or jealousy of him doing this, him doing that. It's just seeing people skyrocket in their industry.
Which is why I promote like all of y'all as much as I can.
And
because
it's
like,
what you're going to be doing for your fight.
Exactly.
With your sponsors, which is a great freaking thing to do.
So that is a piece that we'll throw that in there. We're going to get to all this fucking past month, so much to talk about. But for my next fight, because fun fact, I've not only had the one we were talking about on the last podcast, but I just had another one last month. But what I'm going to do is, going forward, every single time I fight, on my fight banner for free, I'm going to feature the logo and information of a local DFW artist. And that could be anything
that could be anywhere from
photography, literal art, rapping, music, whatever you can think of.
Now, do we have an insight information on who's going to be on?
It's Trey. I'm giving it to Trey for the first one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Trey will be the first person I'm going to feature on there, because you will always have a spot on my fight banners with prominent era photography. Give him a follow, and he's the best.
Oh, thanks.
You're always gonna be on there. But this first one I'm featuring is Trey. Like you will always have a spot on my banner if I'm fighting in fucking Japan. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get me how ma like
From an era.
Could you fly to Tokyo? Please don't cancel me. I'm sorry. I feel like that's a good impression of an accent.
That's pretty good.
Okay, so let's get back to
let's catch up.
The last podcast we did, I was just about to go into my pro debut. You were a couple months out from getting married. So let's start with, I guess, chronologically.
Because we did shoot a post-fight, and this is something that we did shoot a post-fight podcast or talk, Taboo Talk.
Yeah.
Basically talking about what happened at his fight at, it was Texas Live.
Pro debut, Texas Live,
we shot that whole thing and we talked for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And
all the audio got
audio was just complete garbage. So we ended up having to scrap that. But the last time that we were here and we were talking, actually not here because I've moved.
Yeah.
But the last time that we talked and sat down and recorded, you were going into a fight.
Yeah. You were a couple months away from being married.
I'm a couple months from getting married. So we're going to start from...
I guess chronologically, the first thing was me fighting.
Yeah.
Chronologically.
Yeah.
So I did an episode with Landon just because I wanted to get it out for the most part, but I'll go into a few more details with you. If I'm repeating anything I said in the last one, my bad. But yeah, so I slipped in the middle of our second round on the centermost logo and I broke my leg. This guy didn't break my leg. It's the dumbest shit. It literally, like, when it broke, it
was literally like a scene from unfortunate accidents in the sports.
Because no one
knew. When you see that basketball player just land wrong, or that football player that like cuts and his knee just buckles.
Yeah.
And his freaking knee explodes. Like, that was just literally what it happened.
Yeah, because the bone didn't come out or anything like that, and so I break it. Then when I go and get it X-rayed. The fight, it was what it was. It only went a round and a half. There's not even a ton to analyze other than I kind of froze up because it was that first time and the venue's big.
Yeah. It was Texas Live.
Just being 100% honest, I did freeze up in that one. Zero question. I did not perform within even 20% of the capacity of the fighter that I am.
But again, it was your first professional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which everybody's going to get nerves when you fight, but that was, I think it just got the better of me. But... yeah, so I went to throw this kick, I slipped on the logo, and you couldn't even tell, and I didn't even realize until I hit my back on the ground and landed on the ground, and I lifted my leg up, and I felt the bone go, and I went, are you fucking kidding me? I slammed my hands on the ground, and I went, fuck! And the ref comes up, and he calls off, he goes, what's going on? I was like, I broke my fucking leg! And he goes, what? The doctors come in, and they go, what's going on? I broke my fucking leg! And they go, what? Then they pick up my heel, and the doctor goes, oh, he broke his fucking leg.
Because on video, I will add, on video it did not look like you broke it. And it wasn't until you literally picked up your leg, and then you can see.
Saw my foot turned that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and when I'm like lying on the ground, and the doctors are looking at me. I'm just laying there, and all of a sudden, I just hear the crowd go silent. Then I hear them go, "Oh!" So I guess they showed a replay to where you could see better it actually happening. But so I go get it X-rayed, right? And the doctor walks over to me and he goes, so do you want to know how you broke it? And I was like, yeah, because I don't understand. Basically what happened is the ball, he goes, the good news is you have very strong tendons. I was like, what? And he goes, basically what happened is when the way your foot turned, your tendon was so strong that it pulled the ball of your ankle off. So the ankle is a part of your tibia, which your tibia is your main weight-bearing bone, and it's what anchors your foot, or your shin on top of your foot. So when that happens, your tibia can't sit properly on top of your foot. So my fibula, the small bone in the shin, tried to compensate for my weight, shattered into 6 pieces. So I've got a plate and 6 screws in my fibula and 2 screws in the ball of my ankle going back into my tibia. So yeah, that was a super shitty. They told me that it'd probably be an 8-month recovery. I just fought last month, so that was 7.
Completely.
They said 8-month recovery, and I'd be fighting probably about a year, and I did it in 7 months. We'll get to that fight in a second. But so, legs broken, very fucking depressed, had a lot of fucking issues. God damn, I got tatted since since then. We'll get to that too, but
which is also a great way to
deal with depression.
Is get tattoos.
So, and that's something that I'll talk about because I think I told Landon about this, and I don't even know if I told you this, but when I broke it, they prescribed me meds and all that shit. I did develop a little bit of a problem. And it's something that, like, I'd always criticized that before when people get addicted to, like, painkillers and stuff, and now I get it.
Because it's easy.
Luckily, I never filled up on the bottle, but I was taking pain meds when I was okay. Like, I just drug them out and was like, I just want to get rid of the stress and anxiety tonight, and I would just pop a couple of them. Like, I developed a problem, but I'm the kind that, like, I can overcome something if it's never around me, with zero question. Like, if you had me in a house full of just good nutrition food all the time, I'd only eat that. But if there's bad food around, I'll probably
get some bad food. Splurge a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a bit more extreme, but I dealt with it. I recognized it was an issue, and I got past it. So it is what it is. But in that time frame, somebody got married. And,
I did.
That was, dude. With your marriage, one, I got to officiate his wedding. I was more nervous. So back when I did theater in high school, I would always like get really nervous right beforehand, and then the second I spoke my first line, I was fine. At your wedding, nah, I was nervous as shit the entire time.
And you could tell because he gave a speech and covered a lot of things, and it was beautiful. I got to say, from beginning to end, I did cry. A lot.
I cried less than I expected, but so of course you and Ashley were cool as shit where y'all told me, say whatever you want. We trust you. Yeah. And I was like, awesome. Ashley just goes, please don't cuss. I was like, I'm not going to do that in your wedding, I swear.
I think she was more concerned about...
Me talking about blowing you to keep you in the country?
No, I think she had that one in the bag. I think she was more concerned about the Jesus outfit that you had been talking about. So he had mentioned, when we brought this up, Ashley and I sat down and we brought this up, we wanted him to officiate the wedding. Because we're not religious people, so we didn't want a priest or something like that. And
I am a certified pastor.
And heavily with the the religious where do they go? The speeches and the prayers and stuff. So we wanted something that was going to be touching and
a person
familiar and somebody that knows us.
Yes, so thank you.
That was the main thing. So that was great. But you could tell as soon as it started, you could tell that you were a little nervous.
Well, yeah, because.
And I don't know if it was just nervous into like of the situation, like being like our wedding, or like a mixture of that and emotion.
We have talked about this on the podcast before, that I have an issue with thinking anybody gives a shit and yada yada yada, and it is what it is. It's still something that kind of persists. It's gotten better over time, but to be asked to do something like that, and then in the moment I'm like, I am fucking marrying these two. I felt so much love from y'all and appreciation, and I appreciated that. Like, truly, it could not have been more an honor to do what I did for y'all.
The honor was ours for sure.
And we go into it, and I thought I was just going to bawl. I thought I was going to be like... That's what I thought I was going to do. Straight
that was me the whole time. But there's a lot of images of me crying.
I wrote... A lot of people thought it was just going to be jokes. I had one joke in there, and like that was it. Because of course I'm going to take this seriously. It's y'all. Yeah. So I wrote stuff that I thought would be meaningful for y'all, and explain. Like, I go into this analogy about how... and truly I believe this when it comes to people, especially my people around me getting married, is like, look at all of the things that had to happen, all of the butterfly effects that had to happen for you two to even meet, let alone get to the point. It's not like you fucking were living next door and grew up together your entire lives. It's the way you found each other. Everything had to fall into place exactly. It was for y'all to meet each other and be with you. And that's just true with all love.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's everyone we meet, it has to fall these different things. If I showed up to powerlifting that very first time and you didn't say, hey man, come sit next to me since I got nowhere else to sit, who knows if we would even be friends? You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those weird little things. And I thought I was going to bawl the entire time. I started crying when I started doing the Spanish bit about Miguel, and I looked up and saw you crying when you knew what I was saying, and
But it wasn't just man. Like he translated it to Spanish.
Yeah.
So
Ivan Magyar translated it to Spanish.
He translated it, and to me, as soon as I heard that, not only did it make me happy, but I knew that that it made my parents
happy.
and my grandma was there, and I had a lot of family too. So that kind of was inclusive for them, and that's something that I really appreciate.
I didn't want to make. We had a horrible tragedy happen with that. Mm-hmm. I did not want to make your entire day about that. I didn't want the people who don't know you that well to be asking that question after the fact.
Yeah.
I did it in Spanish because it was for you and your family that were hurt by this, and it's my true belief that I know he was there with us that day.
Oh, absolutely.
He was right there.
And he was, so that was actually a piece that a friend of mine from the Levitt Pavilion.
Love this.
Shout out to Addison there.
I almost bought y'all that, so I'm glad you showed it to me.
She mailed it to the house.
That's so
She was
cool.
just like, hey, something got shipped, let's do it. And
that's so him. That's why I love in that shot.
And
it's
that's
so
actually
him.
what we were wearing. So like that's actually my tux and her wedding dress in it.
I haven't even noticed all the details. Wow.
Like my tie.
Yeah.
That's literally the tie I was wearing.
Yeah,
so
it was
really cool to see. So
they should have shown your hair flapped over in front of your face because the wind was not fun that day.
Oh no, my hair did not look that good for sure. It was so windy and it was outside.
My favorite parts of that entire day was one when I went to go get the girls for their part of the rehearsal, and Ashley's in her dress and she does that little sheepish "I'm hot and I know it" kind of thing, and I was just like, fuck, like I almost cried, and then I was just like, the girls look really good. She's like,
and
I know, right?
They did, holy hell.
And Ashley's joked about that. I've heard her tell the story where she's like, the first thing Travis said is my tits look great. I'm like, they did!
I'll drink to that.
Cheers, mate. Good for you, bud. But dude, that was
definitely that. But that whole day,
so fun.
It was so much fun.
Oh my god!
And it just from beginning to end. I think we arrived there at like 10:30 or 11,
something like that.
It's just one of those days you'll never forget, but easily forget. Because we had an open bar, so like, so
it was such a truly. This is what I love. Nothing really went wrong.
Nothing went wrong.
Nothing went
wrong.
It was just fun from beginning to end.
It was a legit party. We got to hang out like the way that the venue was set up. We had our own groom's room, and then they had a little cottage
for the girls.
So they were separated. We had our own room. We were listening to music the whole time.
Just jamming.
We were just jamming. I think we had some food and drinks.
And you looked good.
Hey man,
you looked.
I dressed
good.
When I
dude, you with the red and the gold. I was like, son.
So I don't always pull out the jewelry, and I'm not much of a shower. But even now, like I'm at the house and I'm not even wearing.
You got
two
chains too. And one of those is mine for me.
And, so that. Hey, if you ever learn anything, is help your buddies move, because then they give you a gold chain.
Oh yeah, that is why I did that too. That's right.
I helped him move, and he got me
a
gold chain. So now I got 2 chains.
Trip.
But I have a family ring that was my grandfather's, and then I have a bracelet that was my grandfather's. So I always wear those on special occasions, parties, quinceañeras, and obviously my wedding. So I was able to pull that out and show off. So there was a lot of pictures where it's just a bunch of gold, and I had my wedding ring, and then this big ass rock, and
you just legitimately
it was just
looked good. Like there's not a photo in that entire arsenal where I'm like, every single time I was like, I've always joked that I'm straight until I meet Henry Cavill. Bro, you were looking very fuckable that day.
Hey.
You just look good. Like everything, you looked great. She looked great. I was like, "Fuck, this is."
It was definitely worth the whole stressing out on. I knew it was going to come down to it and be a good time.
And y'all did it basically yourselves.
Yeah,
there wasn't a wedding planner.
No, not at all.
That's what was dope.
Yeah,
and I love that.
And there was a lot of people. There was a lot of moving parts that helped.
Yeah.
Ashley's aunts made all the flowers and the bouquet and our flower and stuff. So, and then they all helped to set up. So all the tables and the decor and stuff like that, they all helped to set up and break it down. So by the time that we left, they were still there breaking things down. So there was it legit takes a village. Yeah. But it was a great time because we had Tashawn and then his second shooter,
dude, he was so
Tim. And man, these guys, and I've worked with Tashawn before. I've shot weddings with him before.
He was your mentor.
Yes, and shout out because he just started going on YouTube and he shares stories about.
Did he really?
Like nightmare stories about him basically almost getting beat up at photo shoots. So like, shout out to Deshaun Jackson, and make sure you go check out his YouTube channel. He's got some really cool. He's got some really cool stories that he's sharing on there. But
behind the camera with Deshaun Jackson.
Basically,
that's awesome.
But basically, whenever I started work with him, I told him, I was like, dude, if I ever get married, like, you're gonna be my guy. And as soon as I think the next day that I proposed, I sent him a message, and I was like, hey, I just proposed to my girlfriend. I want you to do our wedding. And that was it.
He was like, I cleaned my schedule. I got you.
Yeah. And he actually had 2 weddings that day.
Did he really? And
he sent his second team to San Diego.
Awesome.
To do that and basically worked our wedding himself.
That's fucking awesome.
So and he was a great time. Like he basically partied with us.
He did.
A lot of people will say that it's unprofessional, but if your photographer's not having a good time, you're not going to have a good time. And
legit, because y'all had me officiate. I got the reason y'all had me officiate is because we've joked about that. I got, when I was 17, I just applied online to be a wedding officiant, and I was like, oh, I'm a certified pastor. What up, champ? And then y'all had me do it, and I was like, you know what? I might.
Because you're about to do it again.
Well, yeah. Well, in a year.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I kind of want to do this and just make this like, hey, if you want someone who's not religiously affiliated and someone who's like, hey, we'll hang out 4 or 5 times so I like get to know y'all, so it's not some stranger or just some pastor you see and say, hey, that was a great service every Sunday. Like, it's someone who legitimately wants to know you and wants to make it awesome for y'all. Plus, I get to party the entire time. Absolutely, I'm thinking about doing it as a side gig anytime I can. And luckily, Clark and Holly just asked me to marry them in Cabo. Fucking
and to add that, not only does he officiate your wedding, but if you tell him, hey, my cup is half empty, he will bring you a drink like he did to me.
I made sure you looked like your cup was. I was like, here you go.
My cup was full the whole time.
But this did lead to Jose rambling for 35 minutes.
Listen,
he devolved down to, for my people in Mexico on the back, on the way.
Hey, I thanked every single person. I basically thanked every table that was there. People that I knew, people that I didn't, Ashley's family. Family friends that were there. So I was just a grateful person because, like I said, it took a village to put all that together. Yeah. And there was a lot of people that traveled long distances to be there. So I wanted to make sure that everyone from the beginning of my life to the beginning of ours now were being thanked. So, but also there was a lot of whiskey that I had been drinking. So obviously my timing was a little off because I was supposed to stall for a little bit. Because Jared, my brother-in-law...
We were waiting on Jared, yeah. But then Jared got there about 10 minutes
He got there, and then I totally forgot that he had walked in. So I kept rambling to buy time until I think TJ was kind of just giving me
Bailey and I were looking at TJ go, get the fucking mic from him. Get the mic from him. We got to move on.
Yeah,
get the mic.
I went a little too long, but, you know... That's what you get when you get me out.
But it was beautiful. It was fun from beginning to end.
I mean, we had a mariachi band in there, man.
Son, when the mariachi band hit, I was like, "Oh, that way, chill!"
Dude, it was so much fun. And then I think they were pretty much done, and then they played one song that just got everybody up and dancing. And we basically just created this circle. Well, and we just danced for what felt like 30 minutes.
One of my favorite parts is when you were already fucked up at this point. By the time the mariachi band came in, is my parents were just gonna stay through the ceremony, come and talk to y'all, and they were gonna leave. They stayed for a lot longer than I expected because they love y'all. And there was a point that we're sitting there, and you go up and you grab my mom, and you're like. She's like, no, and you're like, I don't give a shit. Come here. Just, you like dance around the circle, and she comes back. She goes, let's get out of here before he makes me dance again.
Yeah, no, I pull a lot of people to dances because, especially if this is their first, whenever I was bringing up about the mariachi band being there, a lot of people were just like, oh, I have a bad reputation because a lot of people think that when they go out to eat and they go to a Mexican place, and then there's artists that go and play, they just sit there and play for tips, right?
Yeah.
And they'll just play whatever, and they ruin your experience if they hang around too much or whatnot. But these guys were fantastic, man. They played some great music. They sat there, and as they were kind of sitting or standing in the way that they were, they would step up and serenade Ashley.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And I think for her it was kind of like a really cool experience.
Yeah.
First and foremost, but then again for everybody else that was there, they got to see. This mariachi band just serenading her, and then they just play this bomb dancing music, and we got on there, and
I didn't know what they were saying, but my hips started moving and shit. And I was like,
wait a minute. Now, when Suavemente came on,
son,
I made sure that so Ashley and I, when it wasn't a family friend, but this guy DJ'd all of Ashley's school dances, right? That's how we got in contact with him.
I didn't know that. That's
cool. So
he
emailed us or something or contacted us and we met at a Starbucks and he was basically going with.
He played good shit the whole night.
Okay, so we sat down and was like, hey, what do you want to listen to? And we had already had a playlist.
Yeah.
And we had anywhere from Tupac to
oh hell yeah.
Oh, what did KRS-One.
Yeah.
And obviously we had Suavemente on that. And we basically just gave him this list and he goes, is this what you want to play? And I said, yes. We also, all of our stuff was music oriented.
Yeah.
Because our table numbers were not table numbers; they were table songs.
Yeah.
So as people were going out to get their food, that song was playing. So when the DJ was like, "Hey,
I didn't even notice that.
Table number 10, blah blah blah," well, it was basically like track number 10. Because it was the soundtrack of our lives, basically.
That's awesome.
So we basically picked, I think it was 12 or 13 each. And then we put them on the tables and as they were going to get the food, he played it. So he played a lot of the music. We actually had a lot of music that wasn't able to be played yet.
Wow.
Because we had so much. But we sat there and he picked and looked at this list and was like, man, I didn't know y'all liked this. Like, who y'all like this? He's like, I haven't met anybody that listens to KRS-One. I haven't heard of him in a long time. So we had a lot of music being played. Suavemente came on and there was a large diversity of music. I think we played anywhere from country to gangster rap.
You had very few country, which made me very happy.
But yeah, we wanted to make sure we had everything in there. We had some rap. Nuck If You Buck played, I ain't gonna lie.
Nuck If You Buck.
That was a must.
Yes.
At the wedding, so.
Yeah, and especially as we got later in the night, the music started getting better and better, and I was like, hell yeah.
That was by design because we knew grandmas were gonna go to bed.
Yep.
So we played the gangsta shit at the end.
Yes.
So. That's where that came.
It was great, man, and I had fun. I drank a little bit and everything, but I made sure I wasn't drunk. I was tipsy because I was like, I'm gonna drive an hour home tonight. But now we're gonna get a little tipsy whipsy. But so the wedding was awesome and everything like that.
It was fantastic. It was such a good time.
Not only did you have that major life event, what else happened, Jose?
Well, the honeymoon went on because I'm having a baby.
Let's go!
Having a baby, and it's a boy.
Yes. And his name will be?
And his name will be Jude.
Jude?
Jude Miguel. So it's very
Ashley, do you want to come talk about the baby?
I made the executive decision. I was coming.
Come on.
Yeah. We just announced who will be having.
Y'all have seen Ashley before.
Yeah.
This is their current baby, but she's got another one right inside
right
there.
here.
Little Jude Miguel Correro.
Call him his correct name.
Jude, sorry.
We call him Judas all the time, so it'll be the same.
So we had the honeymoon. Y'all had a great time. Where y'all went was awesome.
Yeah.
You immediately were like, I'm leaving it in, champ. And it was how long after you found out?
We got married October 15th, and we found out November 17th.
There you go. 4 weeks.
I work fast.
Okay,
but I also at the same time I ran through a little issue with my visa, so there was a lot of time spent at the house.
We were also actively trying to have a baby. It was not just because he was home.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of time in my hands.
Yeah.
Our hands. So.
But yeah, so y'all are pregnant, and we are at a point that you kept it to, you told what? TJ Bailey, me.
My brother and sister.
And then y'all waited for a bit until you realized the baby was about healthy, and then you kind of started telling
No, we wanted, or she wanted to, but then eventually she, kind of the happiness snuck in.
I wanted to wait because we went through a loss, and that's hard, but we decided that we wanted to just celebrate every second of him.
Yeah. So
we found out literally 4 weeks. We told y'all, and then at 6 weeks we told his parents and my parents, and then at about days shy of 9 weeks we told all of our family at Christmas.
Yeah. And you knew, because you were telling me you wanted to wait until you were sure that, unlike last time, there wasn't anything wrong.
No, I needed to hear a heartbeat.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Heartbeat. Because we never got to hear the heartbeat with the first one. So we We snuck over to Dallas when I was barely 6 weeks pregnant. We were like, just tell us it's.
Well, she found a place in Dallas that they do ultrasounds
at 6 weeks.
At 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we went and we heard a heartbeat. It was very faint because obviously he was
We
still
didn't hear
very
it,
very
we just
small.
saw it.
No,
it's like that big. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it.
Well, we didn't hear it, but you can see it on the ultrasound because they pulled it up on this big giant TV basically.
Yeah.
And you can just see this little
a flicker.
And as soon as I saw it, my heart dropped.
I'm sure
it was either that or gas, but I'm pretty sure my heart dropped. So
we kind of had to tell my parents the next night too because we were going to Six Flags.
And she actually, unlike me, who do not like roller coasters, she rides them.
Yeah, I ride every
So
day.
if they were gonna pull,
yeah.
So we told them that night.
Yeah, we told his parents the night before, and then right at 14 weeks, we found out it was a boy.
Boy and healthy. That's
the first set of genetic testing came back. And
yes.
He has all of his chromosomes, which is a big deal because our first one had Turner syndrome, which means she was missing one of her X chromosomes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's got all of his things. From the sonograms we've had so far, he's got all his limbs. They just looked like little dinosaurs.
Look like a little dinosaur.
What a statement!
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? It's just such a weird way to say it.
I love Ashley Guerrero to death. Ashley worries a lot, and I don't know if I've ever met anyone who was like, "Well, the baby has all of its limbs." It's like, holy shit, where was your mind going?
That's all the sonograms can really tell you. Like, we had a sonogram. The last one was at 11 weeks, and he had just little nubs. So we go again in 2.5 weeks, and we have his anatomy.
I just can't wait for the day Jose texts me a picture of a sonogram, and he's like, "Look at my boy's dick."
If he's anything like me, we'll have to use the magnifying glass. Cheers.
But so we're expecting when?
The end of July?
July 30th is his estimate.
Or August 1st.
Listen, he could have your birthday too, though.
That's true.
That is I'm including myself.
Luna?
Luna's letting her know
that's
she
Luna
needs water.
letting us know that she needs water. So when we were told an estimation, it changed between July 30th and August 1st.
Yeah.
My birthday is July 28th,
yeah.
and Ashley's is August 1st.
And mine's July 4th, so we have 2 months of a lot of celebrating.
We're going to have a spot.
August 4th.
That's right.
Yeah,
Luna's birthday's August 4th, Bear's July 11th. That's a lot of celebrating.
Yeah, so we're going to have to, either one of us is going to have to share a birthday.
But
possibly.
It's his 30th, so I feel like that would just be the ultimate gift for him.
Yeah. Popping out a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoving one out.
So you were experiencing some extreme nausea at the beginning.
Yes.
But we're more of a stabilized, you're still getting a little bit nauseous sporadically.
A little bit. This child has a very odd aversion to garlic.
Okay. And it was eggs for a little bit. That was extremely
at the beginning it was.
Eggs and garlic. Anything that wasn't very just bland and
oh God, white people food.
My favorite. He just wasn't a big fan of Chick-fil-A for a while either. That didn't sit very well.
Not a lot of things sat well.
No.
Even if it sounded good, she would eat, but then she would throw it up immediately.
Ugh.
I did not have coffee for the entire first trimester because he just didn't want it. Mm-hmm. That's been fun.
But so outside of that extreme nausea now, are things seem pretty easy for you, or what exactly?
The heartburn is a little rough.
Okay.
So if the old wives' tale of heartburn means hair, this child better come out just.
Have you seen his hair?
luscious.
I would have to assume.
I will say that when I was a baby, I had a lot of hair and it was curly. So, and I don't have curly hair.
No.
But I have very fine hair, so I'm hoping he takes after his father.
Yeah.
In that, but the heartburn's pretty
department.
bad, and I'm having some sleep issues.
Mm-hmm.
But my pregnancy pillow helps a lot.
Yeah, that's good. So yes, there will be a third Guerrero very soon, and I'm very excited.
Luna is also
fourth. My apologies.
Third human.
Third human.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah. What a fucking anxiety-filling way you told me. because I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Well, we didn't have a plan.
We didn't really have a plan.
You didn't have a plan because y'all were gonna hold off, and then I showed up and you were like, you have to tell me.
Well, the plan was that we were gonna wait until we told our parents.
Yeah.
But then you came over for dinner, I think, that night. We were cooking.
Yeah.
You came over for
like the day after or something.
Yeah, we were cooking dinner or something, and I went into the room to grab her, and then she just goes, "You want to tell him?" And I was like, "Oh shit, hell yeah!" Like I want to tell him. So all we had at that time was the pregnancy test.
Yeah.
And I stuck it in my pocket. I came into the kitchen and struck the conversation. And then within seconds, she kind of started giving me this look.
Yeah.
Well, because you did it so awkwardly. You were like, "I'm going to tell him I want to take a picture," and I was like,
"Yeah,
like why? Why are you randomly taking a picture?"
Because we don't have pictures. We don't have a lot of pictures. So I was like, "Let's take a quick picture."
We had just
but we can have more.
An up-teen amount at the wedding.
Okay, well, this is different because he was at the house, but I had the test in my pocket, and I think I was like, "Hey, let's take a picture," and then immediately. He knew something was wrong.
So, from my viewpoint, let's preface this. You went into your bedroom and you told Ashley, "Hey, can you help me with something?" And I was like, "Okay." Well, it's like, "Uh-oh."
It was so weird.
Is something going on? And then he comes back out and he's like, "Hey, immediately after that, he comes over, "Hey, take a picture with me." I was like, "What? Why?" Like, it's not out of the blue for us to do that, but just
it was
on a night we're having dinner and just chilling. I was like, "Wait, what?" And so he puts his arm around me. He's like, "Come on, just take a picture." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I thought he was gonna sack tap me or some shit on video for TikTok. I don't know. And then I see his hand comes up and he goes, "Say Travis is gonna be an uncle." My first instinct was to shove you.
Yeah, you stiff armed the fuck out of me.
I was like, "No!"
And then you started crying.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was y'all.
Yeah. So that's how we broke the news to you.
Yeah.
And then when we came to tell you it was a boy, in the background of the video, all you hear is your mom going, "I hope it's a girl. I hope it's a girl." And I'm like, "Well, Sherry, you're about to be extremely disappointed because it is a boy."
Yeah.
Yeah, because my parents were excited to hear. Because I'm very good at keeping secrets, surprisingly, is that I didn't tell them shit. And then I was like, "Hey, y'all come to my parents' house and let's tell them."
Well, we actually went on tour that day because we spent all day on the road going to all the family members and house to house with these little confetti poppers with the blues. And so when we got the call that morning, I believe.
No, it was like afternoon.
Well, in the afternoon, we got the call that it was a boy. That's when I found out.
Yeah.
And we went to Hobby Lobby and Michael's and Party City, and we tried to find as many of these little poppers that we could find so that we can hit everybody. And we hit your house, we hit TJ's, we hit Richard's, and our parents and yeah. So we told everybody that day. So I think you clocked out at like 3. So from like 3 to 10 p.m. we were driving around the DFW to tell all of our family and get them all on video and see everybody's faces. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I put so much thought into how we told everybody else like about him and then that he was a boy, but I completely botched every time I told you.
Yeah, she botched both times that she told me.
I have really big plans.
You were excited,
but
you want to share it with your partner.
The day I found out I was pregnant, I did not think I was, and I took a test just to be like, "Oh, let's take it." And I called into work, and we'd gone to Hamilton the night before. Like, it's the anniversary of our engagement, and so we were just both home, and that test popped positive, and I was like, "Oh, what?" But I knew I couldn't just be at home with him all day until I could run to the store or whatever, and I just barged in the room and was like, "Hey, guess what? I'm pregnant."
And I was still in bed.
And he said, like the
Undertaker getting off of bed.
Well, then I did the same thing when I found out it was a boy, because I was like, when they call me, I'm going to let them tell me, and then I'm going to go get the confetti poppers, and I'm going to let you pop one before we go tell everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, I got so excited when they said it was a boy, and then I was just overwhelmed because they said, everything was low risk at that point. He's in here playing Call of Duty, and I'm standing in our hallway just shaking, staring at him, waiting for him to acknowledge me in the hallway. And he goes, "You know what the baby is?" And I was like, "Yes."
Well, it wasn't that smooth. So I'm playing online. I got my headset on. I'm laying on the couch. And she just comes around the corner, and she just looks like the little girl from, what's that movie with Steve Carell that he plays that?
She'll switch in between these.
And she's just kind of sitting in the corner with her hands.
I was shaking.
And she had this look in her face, and I ripped my headphones off. I paused the game, which you can't pause.
Yeah.
So I paused the game, and I tossed my remote, and I was like, "Do you know?" And she's like, "Yeah, let me start recording." And this is record.
Yeah, and then I was just like, he's healthy, he's perfect. Or I said, baby's healthy, baby's perfect. And I can tell he's just like, just tell me what the damn gender is.
Yeah. Because I started repeating everything.
Yes.
So she's like, it's healthy. I'm like, okay, it's healthy. And then it's like, there's no issues. There's no issues.
It's a baby. It's a baby.
And I was like, and it's a boy. And he cried.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was very excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Because I think at one point we both felt it was a boy. And then I think within like 3 days, I kind of just told her, I was like, I think it's going to be a girl. And she's like, oh, I think it's going to be a girl too. So it threw me off, but then I was very excited that it was going to be a boy.
Yeah. I think there's something...
Because then I'm not going to be outnumbered in this house.
Yeah. It's there's something...
I probably still will.
There's something poetic about it too.
About having a firstborn son, it's...
After everything,
and just making, seeing that everything's healthy and
well, and it did ease a lot of anxiety at being a boy because what we lost our first one to, he can't have that.
Yeah, because it was girls.
It was only girls that have that. Yeah.
Do you need more Diet Dr Pepper?
Yes, please. Thank you.
We got a syrup.
It's almost like we're in a throuplers.
Oh man.
We are not.
I feel like if you make that joke enough, it eventually gonna turn.
We had a Valentine's party not too long ago, and for these two, TJ and Bailey and Rebecca, I got cards that all said to my wife and to my husband for each of them because I love them all.
He also likes to introduce himself to people as Jose's boyfriend, and then I'm like, but with this
husband.
As a husband.
Yeah.
There's no legality between the two of you. It's only between us.
Hey, to be fair, my name is on that wedding certificate, just not in the right spot.
That is true.
That was a hard decision.
That was very easy, actually.
Who else would we have picked?
Nobody.
Well, it was funny because Clark and Holly just told me literally this past weekend that they're going to have me officiate their wedding, and Clark made the good
but we did it first.
Yes, this is true. Trust me, when I get married, he's got to do it.
Can we co-officiate it?
Yes. Absolutely.
Bet.
Zero question.
I will start practicing now.
Yeah.
Bounce jokes off of each other.
Yeah, just...
I swear to God, if it's just me getting married, which don't even have a girlfriend, but and y'all are just roasting the shit out of me, I'm like, hey, can we save this for the speech after the fact?
Every speech given at my wedding was about how fantastic he was.
Not true. Mine was the first speech, and I did good.
You officiated. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
Every speech given was about how wonderful he was and what a pain I am to put up with.
This is why I should have gotten a speech, because I would have just roasted his ass the entire time and talked about how much I loved him.
Or cried.
Or cried, Don't mock how much I cried that day.
My own brother.
You cried. I cried more.
My own brother, who offered to give a speech instead of my sister-in-law having to give it.
Oh, just to double verify so the people at home know I'm not lying or exaggerating. I see you in your dress, and the first thing I say is what?
That the girls looked nice.
Listen.
Well, he started tearing up first, and then followed up with that.
Yeah.
Listen, I cry when I see them girls too, so.
Okay, Luna, it's time for us to go back in the other room.
Thank you for coming out and talking
y'all
during
were
this
talking
episode.
about my child, so I had to be a part of it.
Of course.
Yeah.
My child.
Our child. It's only your child when he's being a shithead.
Yeah, like when he...
It takes a village.
Come here.
But that's what's nice. Like, whenever y'all need a break, you can call me, you can call TJ Bailey, you can call whoever. And
I think as soon as you find out, you made a joke about I'm moving in so that I can just...
You did.
Hearing the baby cry, I got this!
I made a joke that y'all have spare bedroom and that y'all are going to get to a point that, like, because I truly think that people who try to, like, do shit on their own, why? Like, my boss and his wife, they literally just went on a trip and they dropped their baby off at his parents' house. I'm like, that's the way to do shit. Like, you need to have time for you.
It can't just be her grandparents.
Yeah, and so I think that's always a good thing. So I joked that y'all are gonna have one night where y'all are gonna wake up and this is X amount of weeks later, and Ashley, it's your turn. You're gonna be like, no, it's your turn. And all of a sudden you're just gonna hear, I got it.
You can just sit there just burping on the side.
I've got the nipple of the bottle through a shirt that I've made to make it look like I got it. Don't worry.
Get a bunch of udders.
Lucky for you, I'm not breastfeeding this child, so.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Helen, bye.
Found it.
Good girl. He's a good girl.
She's good.
Oh, he's a good girl.
Nice.
Thank you.
That only took me one time to get her to do that.
Because you had snacks.
I teach you tricks with snacks as well.
I know, I just grabbed my cookies.
But yeah, so fucking all this great
so,
shit.
Yeah, man.
Love
so
that.
having a baby,
Yeah.
having a boy, July 30th ish.
You have all these many life things, and meanwhile I'm just like, I got all these tattoos.
Hey, those are your babies, man. You stay creative.
Yeah.
You got some really cool stuff.
So all of this was done within the past 6-7 months.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's all from my boys at Urban's Tattoo Studio. Love those guys. Y'all are the shit.
Oh, I got one at Urban.
For my boy Rocky.
Yeah. So Ashley and I got matching tattoos, different fonts, but
Stand
we
by
got
me.
matching
Yeah.
Stand By Me. That was our wedding song. And
Stand by me.
it's also
Stand by
like
me.
our like rule with each other.
Yeah.
We have 2 rules. It's don't cheat and then don't give up on each other, and that's where Stand By Me comes from.
Who'd have thought such easy rules are also such great rules?
Yeah.
Too. Like,
So those are our only 2 rules: is don't give up on each other and don't cheat.
and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that's what I love. Is it sounds stereotypical. You, like I do, we only get tattoos that like mean shit to us.
Yeah.
Because like if I'm putting shit on my skin permanently.
Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of tattoos that I want.
Yes.
But also, like, every tattoo I have has meaning. So, Stand By Me. The butterfly here is for our baby girl that we lost. And then, obviously, you have my brother and his date and stuff on there. I have my parents on my chest and a guardian angel on my back, which that was my first tattoo. And I kind of had this feeling that just, like I said, I'm not religious, but I just know that somebody always has my back.
Yeah,
I've always had that feeling that no matter what happens within my life or throughout my life, I always have somebody that's watching.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about that prior to anything happening, and then I lost my brother, and now I feel like he's the one watching me.
I agree.
So,
it's just because we're not religious doesn't mean that it's like we don't believe in the shit that other people believe in. It doesn't mean that we don't believe. We're agnostic. We're not atheists. There's a difference. It's like I believe there's something different. I believe all the people I've lost to that lovely cancer and all that other shit.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm gonna get to see all those people again. I don't know what it is after this life. I truly don't, but I believe I'm going to get to see all those people and be with all those people again. So I agree with you 100%.
But even though there's been a lot of stuff on mine, including my wedding to finding out, and then my whole visa thing, because then I was out of work for
a long time,
5 months.
So because you're on, if you know,
I'm on DACA.
Yeah, okay. We don't care what we're talking about.
I don't care about it. I'm very open. So I'm on DACA. And I have to renew my stuff every 2 years. I got to renew my license, and I got to renew my work visa every 2 years.
And the way they have it set up is just complete and utter bullshit for y'all because you can't reapply for it until it expires.
Not necessarily. Correct? I have like a within 6 months. I did drop the ball on when I was doing it, but it was right after all of our wedding stuff. So all the money that I had put aside, it went to wedding stuff and stuff like that. So when I did apply, I finally wrote the money order for $400 and something, $495, and that's the application fee and the biometrics.
Yeah.
Which to me, I think it's so stupid.
Because for biometrics, you have to what? Give me your fingerprint.
I gotta go get a new photo taken and do fingerprints. Like either of those change.
Yeah.
At all. Even though then I have to go. So every time I send my application, I have to download the new application, fill it out, print it, put it in a folder in a certain order. I have to get a passport photo, send that in with my money order, with my application, send it in. I usually always overnight it with a tracking number so I make sure it gets there on time. So I send all that stuff in, and then I get my biometrics where I got to go and do my fingerprints as if it changes. And then I got to go take a picture even though I just sent a passport photo within the same month or two from me sending everything.
So, meanwhile, while all this process, because it took, what, for like 6 months for them to process
shit? It took about 5 months to process.
In that meantime, they could have sent you to Mexico, right?
Not necessarily. There is a gap year.
Okay.
So, between where it expires, I have 1 year from when it expires to basically wait until it gets renewed. If it doesn't get renewed from there, it's basically that waiting period. If I get pulled over, if I get a crime or whatever, I can get deported. So for 6 months, my license was not renewed, which still is not renewed because it's such a hard thing to do now because of COVID and stuff. Not a lot of DMVs just let people sit in the freaking waiting area like they used to. Like now you got to make appointments.
Yeah.
So I could not work for 6 months. So I basically sat at home I picked up
You did photo shoots
here and there to kind of make ends meet. I sold all my investments. You know, I had some stocks and stuff, so I sold that to pay bills. But it tested our marriage, man. Like, we hadn't gotten married, and then I'm jobless for 5 months. Legally, I cannot work. Yeah. So, thankfully, I put everything through my business, and I was able to do that.
You got tested like that? Jacob's getting tested with his shit he's got.
Which is insane.
I'm not even going to talk about it here just because...
It's still ongoing, and it's still a new thing, but it tested our marriage because we had just started a new chapter of our lives. We had just gotten a new house. We had just moved in here, hence why we haven't gotten a cool spot to be in yet, but honestly, this could work.
No shit, I'm down with this.
And we can call it the drunk living room series, or the kitchen, dining room series.
Because I had 2 people text me, and I needed to officially, I had people think that you and I weren't on good terms, and that's why we weren't doing it.
Seriously?
Yeah. I had 2 people be like, hey, are you and Jose good? I'm like, I'm with that fucker, every other weekend.
So TJ and Bailey had a Valentine's Day party.
Yeah.
And my friend Yesenia is a huge fan of our podcast.
It's hilarious to think we have fans, but yeah.
She's a huge fan. I mean, she's a really good friend of mine.
Your guy that you work with at Walmart.
Yeah,
he told me one time, he was like, what do you want to shoot your next show? I'm like, how the fuck do you know about this?
So we end up over there. She comes over. And she would always text me when the podcast was like, oh my God, y'all's dynamic is hilarious. Just y'all sit there. Because it's... People don't know this, but what we do here and when we record and all the stuff, the different things, this is us.
You made a very good point. I forgot who you were talking to. It was me, you, and maybe we were at one of our friend group parties or some shit like that. But you made a good point. You were talking about you and I, and that you were saying that any party that you and I go to, everybody stops talking and we just start riffing, and it basically becomes into a 2-man stand-up. Where we just joke it and bullshit.
And it basically turns into this.
Yeah.
Without a camera being on. So
this is our dynamic all the time.
Like, if the camera's off, we're sitting here roasting on each other, talking shit to each other, talking shit on other people and then feeding off it. So it became a thing when we would do this back in the day, and then he was just like, oh, bro, we should record this. Yeah. Because our goal is not to go big on YouTube. Like, we just want to be able... the whole Taboo Talk thing was just about us sitting down and talking about shit that
other people will not talk about.
That was not just that, but it's not considered something people talk about.
Yeah.
Like it a lot of the things that we talked about, whether it was my depression or my brother's suicide or everything with you, for men, that's something that's we don't talk about. It's not something that's frowned upon. It's just that people just don't talk about it.
Well, because you and I had talked about doing a show together for years. 3 years, something like that.
Probably a lot longer than that.
Then we filmed 2 episodes of what would have become our show, but it was on the She-Devil's laptop. Yeah. So I was not able to put those out, unfortunately, but they were so fucking funny.
But I think when we did those, and yes, they were entertaining, but I think we were trying to fit into that mold that YouTube created. Yeah. Because I think... And I, like I said, these were funny because we did like a Bean Boozled and then a face mask, but we weren't ourselves. We were trying to fit that mold of like and subscribe, this is so fun, and we were trying to create these characters that weren't us. And I just feel like I'm glad that situation happened where we couldn't use that footage, but also it gave us the opportunity to be like, you know what, screw the system, screw the algorithm. Like, we're doing this for ourselves and people that are afraid of being like the only people that do.
Like, we do videos outside of this podcast where it's like the Battleship game we play where we're slapping each other in the face and shit.
Oh, dude, that was hilarious.
That was just because you and I thought that would be fun. It technically fits to the algorithm, but you and I thought that would be fun as hell.
But the thing is, we weren't doing them for clickbait. We weren't doing them for other people.
Just because it would be funny to do it together.
I feel like we would have done that regardless if there was a camera. Like, if we shut this down right now, we would still talk for another 3-4 hours. Yeah. So the whole point of the podcast was to let people know that it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah. And because we started this where, once again, we go back to those first videos we shot however many years ago, where it also would never work because I was in a fucked up manipulative relationship at that point, and so I hardly got to see you that much outside while we were working together and stuff. So it was the point in which I'm at in my life now makes it to where I have freedom, and I know, like, if I get into a relationship again, I'm still gonna be able to do this because I'm not gonna allow myself to be with someone like that.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I completely forgot what the fuck I was talking
Bro,
about.
this whiskey is hitting
I'm not gonna lie.
But I mean, no. The whole point of this podcast was to do that.
Oh,
to give a person that right, because like for a long time, and before I even talked to a therapist, about everything that I've gone, myself and my family had gone through, is I thought I was the only person, even though I knew that there were other people that were in the same situation, regardless of the exact same circumstances, and or whatever their family stuff was going through. I thought I was by myself.
Yeah.
So and then when I brought it up to you, you opened up about your past, and then we just sat there and bounced things off. And I was like, dude, like, why don't people talk about this? So
and that's how this all started. Is we weren't sure, and this turned into a podcast because I just knew I loved doing. I just knew our comedy dynamic, and I was like, oh, well, if we just do like the typical YouTube fucking video stuff like that, it'll be funny. Which it was.
Because we bounced ideas back and forth since we worked at Tidal.
Yeah.
And we were talking about doing stuff with like Asheem's.
And what was weird, and we noticed what worked best was, I think I texted you one day and I was like, look, this is right after I broke up with She-Devil. And I was like, I have never really openly talked about my suicide attempt. And I was like, I didn't even realize it was the Suicide Awareness Month when we filmed that and did all that and everything too. And then we had the situation with
because I think you texted me after you were finished editing, and was like, bro, like, this is it just fits. Like, it was.
And that's the thing is, I reached out to you and I was like, I want to talk about this, but if it's me in front of a mic, I might not do it. And I knew you would have the insight, and you know me so well that it's something that I could tell you shit that I had never told you before.
But again, we had dealt with it prior to that.
Yeah.
Prior to you going through your stuff and me going through my brother's.
Yeah.
Going through it with Kayla was hard.
Yeah.
That hit me hard.
Oh, yeah.
Because I knew her for a very short period of time, but we spent a lot of quality time together.
Yeah, and I had known her for years at that point. Yeah. And so it was one of those things that whenever we filmed that one, me actually like fully talking about that, though. Yeah, we said that. We go, it's weird that you and I will talk about this shit in private, but there's this stigma with men that you can't show weakness, you can't show emotion, all that stuff. And you and I are like, I don't want this to sound arrogant anyway, but you and I just have such a don't give a fuck attitude that's like, you can make fun of me saying I'm emotional.
And I don't even think that's the case. I just think that our generation has come to a terms of, instead of just keeping this continuous tradition of shit, that we just say, you know what, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch that.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, if I ever told my dad about it and I wanted to have a talk, he was just like, just deal with it, go outside.
Yeah.
Like, that was our thing. And or let's have a drink and then just forget about it. And to deal with emotions that way, it's very, very unhealthy.
Because it's breaking it down to like, hey, what's 1023 divided by 47? It's like, don't think about it, just don't deal with it. And it's like, wait, no, I need to find the answer. I need to find the solution.
But also,
to this problem.
like, people don't understand that if you just hide something, it eventually just starts eating at you in different aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Whether it's your relationship or your work and stuff like that. So whenever I was dealing with that, and it was actually prior to me losing my brother, I was going through a hard, depressing time because I was out of shape. I was very unhappy with myself. I started working at Tidal, and then I think my first time selling, and I sold a membership. And then I was like, dude, I can't do this. And it wasn't that I couldn't do it, because I can put on a poker face.
Yeah. I
can say, you know what, I can create this character that I'm a salesman, and I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I did. I sold memberships, and then like we celebrated with eating pizza, I think, one night. Mm-hmm. And then I went to do another tour, and then I was out of breath just giving a tour, and I sold a membership, and then I was just like, man, I feel like such a fraud. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sitting here trying to sell people a healthy lifestyle, and I'm going home picking up a 12-pack and drinking it.
Yeah.
Eating shit, and then doing the same thing the next day, just working all day, selling memberships to a gym. And then on the way home, picking up fast food, 12-pack, and then doing it all over again. So then that's when I went through my episode of just trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Lost all that weight, put myself in a better mental state, and then boom, I get hit with a fucking truck. So I'm glad that I did that, because I felt like if I was the person that I was when I first started working there, and then that tragedy struck, like, I don't know how I would have handled it. I don't like to think about it,
the way you did,
but I don't know how I would have handled it at all. Because even after my brother passed away, I didn't go back to any of those habits.
Yeah.
Because my mind didn't say, I need that 12-pack.
Yeah.
I need that 24-pack. I need to go do this, or I should probably try that because it'll ease my mind or my anxiety or whatever. So don't get me wrong, I was still fucking depressed and I was still going through a hard time, but I realized that going back to those habits wasn't going to do anything. So that's when I realized, and this is something that Ashley and I do actively in our lives, is, don't get me wrong, we love tradition. Mm-hmm. Being Mexican, we have so many traditions, whether it's the food or the holidays or just being family oriented, because not a lot of religions or not a lot of races are that
White
way.
People.
And to me, like, growing up and saying like, oh yeah, as soon as I turn 18, I'm moving out, and then seeing all my friends move out and struggle. Yeah. But then my parents saying, dude, just chill, like, save up your money, do whatever. To me, that was crazy. I'm like, damn, this fool ain't got no.
Same.
I'm like, that's wild. That is wild. Because my parents, dude, I moved out of my house when I was 27.
Yeah.
I was 27 years old when I moved out of my parents.
Well, hold on. Let's.
Well, technically,
you bought a house and you
I
had
bought
your
a
parents
house
live with you.
And yes, but technically,
which that was you being a good person, saying, "Hey, y'all have lived in these tougher places. I'm able to afford a house. Come and live with me, and live in a better spot."
And that's the house. And that's the house that they're in now.
Yeah.
But we, like Ashley and I, we want to break those habits.
Yeah.
Want to break those traditions of, you know, like my parents growing up, if we had an uncle that we hated, it was just like, oh, that's family. No, bro, like, if they don't bring anything to my table, they don't bring anything to my life, I don't want them a part of it.
Yeah.
And I am not afraid of, I've lost family, whether it's by death or being cut off. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid of losing a friend. You know what I mean? Like, if my friends don't bring anything to the table, regardless of them supporting me or supporting my family or supporting my goals, or if I say, hey man, like, if anybody that I talked to was like, dude, I want to be a photographer, and they were just like, bro, that's fucking lame, they would not be in my life.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point that you and I have talked about this, like, people who are like, oh, well, they're your aunt, they're your uncle, they're your yada yada, you have to care. It's like, nah, like, if someone treats you like dog shit, you do not have to, in any regard, keep them in your fucking life. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a family member, whether that's someone you deem a friend, yada, anything like that. Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. If there's not people that, like, if I don't trust you to have my back in a fucked up situation.
Bro, I have a half a sister I do not talk about. What? Not that I don't talk about, I don't talk to her.
You have a half sister?
I have a half sister.
I didn't know that.
She looks like me with the long hair. It is not attractive. It is weird. But I cut her off.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. I was just like, she brings nothing but drama. She fucking, she just stirred the pot and shit. And I was like, bro, I don't want somebody like that, Mom.
It's such a, I forgot who I was talking to the other day about making friends. And I say the same thing. It's like, I'm at the point in my life, and I hate that it's a quote from the series, but, like, it's a Fast Furious quote where it's, I don't have friends, I got family.
Dude, that's what
that's
I have.
True.
That's
true.
And it's not about quantity.
Yeah.
It's not about, dude, I'm not happy. I will not be happy if I have 100 friends.
It's about the people that mean shit.
Dude, I have be there. And then we talked about this forever, because it eventually came where all my circles became one.
Yeah.
But I used to have 3 circles.
Yeah.
And I only hung out with those 3 circles separately, but those were my, you know, it was you.
Yeah.
And then it was Rebecca and Justice, and then it was TJ, Richard, and all the guys, Nolan and all the guys. And then eventually, and I made this reference at TJ's wedding, actually, because it was that friend group, we just called it a friend group, was a group of 20 or 25. And people that we worked together and we thought were friends, and then it slowly just, we either drifted or they did some shit and we kind of pushed them. But at his wedding, I made a joke about us being just like gold-hearted people, and then as you swift through sand, all those sand pieces come out and all those golden nuggets stay behind.
I like that.
So
that's a good analogy.
Those are the people that stayed with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then eventually I was just like, man, I got these 3 group of friends, and you always knew about TJ and Richard, and Rebecca always knew about you, and then all these guys, and then they knew about y'all. So eventually I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, let me just bring these people together.
Well, and what was nice in that you see that it makes sense is that once we were all hanging out together, it just clicked immediately. That's like, oh yeah, I mean, if Jose's friends with this person, of course they're going to be friends with that people.
And, dude,
it's like,
and you guys smashed. Like, y'all have known each other for years.
Oh, I text TJ and Bailey every now and then.
That's what I'm saying. Like, after I brought those circles together, it's just, I mean, Rebecca goes to the parties, and then we
Plus,
don't.
I
and
know if someone means a lot to you, I don't even have to question it.
And that's the thing, dude. Like,
because I trust you.
I trust character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, if they're friends with you, I know that they're going to be cool.
Well, it's just like at my last birthday party. It was so nice having, like, you and Jacob don't hang out time, but the second y'all two together, y'all were ripping back and forth. I was like, damn, are they funny?
And the thing is, like, I met Jacob in high school because I was friends with Gustavo. So, like,
was Clark there?
I knew of Clark, but I didn't know Clark that way.
Yeah.
I met Clark at Kayla's
because at my birthday party, I had all the lesbians. I had you. I had Jacob. I had Clark. Derek was there for a little bit.
And then it wasn't until the first time. So I met Clark at the funeral.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was kind of more of an passing because I knew who he was. So it was kind of just in that awkward moment of like, sorry for your loss thing.
And because you're not going to make an introduction there.
There's not much you can tell somebody going through a grieving and start a conversation. So I paid my respects. I said hello to you. I said, I'm sorry for your loss to this family, which doesn't mean shit, but there's really weird thing. There's nothing you can tell a grieving family to make them better. So it's kind of just me letting them know, like, hey, I'm here to pay respects to your daughter.
The most you can do in those situations... But it wasn't
until you broke your ankle that I went over and Clark was there.
Yeah.
And he knew who I was. I knew who he was, but we picked up like we had been friends. I mean, we talked for... How long we were over there? 3-4 hours?
Something like that.
And there was not a single quiet moment. And we covered from what he's doing now, who he's dating. Yeah. We talked about his sister. We talked about his family. Mm-hmm. Same thing for mine. Like, we talked about everything with that 4 hours. So... It's like talking to a version of you that's not you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the same way whenever, like... And I think you've been around TJ and the guys when I hadn't been there and vice versa. So it's such a cool thing to see, of like, this group of friends and bringing them all together.
It's nice because, like, I know if I got married, hey, guess what? TJ and Bailey are being invited. Richard's being invited. Mm-hmm. Like, Rebecca's being invited.
Or, like, parties. We just... Like the Valentine's Day party.
Yeah.
Dude, we just hung out.
Yeah.
We ate some good food. We drank and we fucking roasted on each other.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what we do without having to put a title.
You're
on.
Right too, and where it's
or
nice.
Burning the house like I almost did the other night.
Jose almost burned the house down. But no, you're right in where it's like it's nice that it's one of those moments where you're like, why didn't we get everybody together sooner?
Because that's the thing. I was like, I did not understand.
Time. Yeah,
because we had different circles for the last 12 years. Mm-hmm. I hung out with you. I hung out with them.
That's nice.
And then
we'll fucking hop on Call of Duty, play zombies. Me, you, TJ, Richard,
and we just
fucking
burned 5 hours.
Know them all pretty well by now, so it's like, fuck yeah, it's just fun as shit.
Yeah, so I don't understand why it took so long, but the fact that I have these 10 people in my life that are just solid, that even if I don't talk, like Nolan, I talk to him every once in a while, and I just know that if I drove to Austin, he will give his couch to me.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Hey man, come over. Let's have dinner.
Yeah.
Or whenever he comes over, we just pick up right where we left off and we just catch up. Or I'll text him every once in a while. Hey man, this was up. I basically just text him updates. This is what's going on the last 2 weeks. What's up with you? And then we just go off.
It's just like I was talking to Theron the other day, and we were catching up on a bunch of shit. And it's like, fuck, I miss that dude. And it's, for some people, like especially people we've worked with, like Title was a very special moment in my life.
Oh, for me as well.
Despite the fact that I was underpaid and it was clusterfuck with ownership
and just the whole drag of...
Plus, I was dating a shitty person. But I built that team from the ground up, and I basically hired people that I was like, hey, I think you'll be great at your job, and
there was not a single person that worked at Tidal
that we weren't all chilling with all the time.
That I don't either follow or talk to since then.
Yeah, same.
Even if it's just like Daniel. I don't talk to Daniel as often, but I keep
up with him.
There's a
bunch of people I've worked with that I've never seen since then. Mm-hmm. But that group, I talk to just about everybody.
Yeah.
I
think there's like 2 people I talk to from Laird North. Every once in a while. But it's rare.
Yeah, like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I don't have time. Like, if someone's trying to be my friend, it's like, I'm going to know pretty quickly if we can actually be friends.
Oh, dude, I know in the first day.
Yeah, I'll know in the first day, and it's like, because I don't have time I'm not going to get to know you or give a shit if I don't think you're going to be in my life for X amount of time. I don't believe in temporary shit.
Dude, I lost a friend of our Facebook post. I don't give a fuck. Like, dude, I'm not pulling up with that crap.
Well, and this thing, and I've talked about that before, in that I have a friend, we'll talk about it off air, that I disagree with 2 of his major views. We just don't talk about it. We're just chill as shit, and but we are good friends. I consider him family, but we don't talk about those 2 things because we see things differently, and we're not going to argue over shit.
There's a difference between not arguing. I feel like there's a difference between arguing and having like an educational conversation.
Yeah.
Because like a lot throughout the last 5 years with Trump being in office and blah blah blah, there are 2 big different views of being a Republican or being like this MAGA guy.
Creepy cult shit.
If you can have an education, because I have friends that are Republicans.
Yeah, so
I do. I have some close friends that are Republicans.
It's like all my family members too.
If I talk to them and they're able to give up good points and then actually have like, well, this is this and that and that, and actually have a conversation that's different.
Yeah.
But then if you're saying, well, I don't agree with that, and they're just like, well, fuck you. Bro, like, that's not...
No.
That's not an educational conversation. Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between actually speaking to each other and having... And having something like that.
Can I have a paper towel?
Completely... dealing
I'm a
with
little
that,
tipsy,
you know?
bud.
So there's a huge difference on that. So it's... There's a difference between, hey... We should probably pay our teachers more than, like, hey, fuck those guys because they're different color than us. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
I'm not worried about it. So
no, I agree with you.
That's a whole different podcast.
It's like, hey, if it's, and I to be honest, with all my friends, I think with the exception of like you, I think I disagree with everybody about something. Whether it's politics or religion,
but that's completely okay.
But
we can disagree about things as long as we can bounce things off of each other. But if you say, hey, do your research, and I'm just saying, fuck you. What's the point of having a conversation?
Yeah, it doesn't make any like it's. If you're gonna let one small thing that you disagree on ruin a friendship, it wasn't a real friendship in the first place.
No, not at all. Because there's things that me and you have disagreed on, but we talk facts.
Yeah.
Like I think I remember talking to you about like a documentary I saw about like eating meat that I saw on Netflix, and I was like, dude, I just saw this documentary. Like, I don't know what to think about it because it's like this, and that.
And I was like, well, if you look at
the
science.
Thing is, exactly, that's the whole point about having a conversation. Regardless if it's about fitness or dieting or politics, if you're looking at facts, the people that I deleted off of Facebook were the ones that saying, do your research, but then they would just share a random person's opinion.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's no...
Well, when you get to stuff like politics and shit, it's all opinion based for the most part.
Oh, absolutely. There's no facts on it.
It's there's certain things where you just can't. There's no just justifiable. If it comes down to is meat good for you or not, that now, you can look at.
I will say, it's probably not a good idea to talk about politics while we're drunk.
That's a good point.
So
you and I agree on everything politically.
Yeah, that's
so
really
it doesn't matter.
That's not a big deal.
Okay. Holy shit. Okay, so where are we?
So we derailed a lot.
Yeah. So we went through wedding and everything.
We covered the wedding. We haven't spoken about your fight.
I just fought. So I would ask. We got back.
I will have to add before you get into that. I didn't get to watch your fight at Texas Live.
But this one
one I got to watch. I went through a problem with
you got scammed.
I got no. Well, that was with this one. But the prior one, I downloaded the link or whatever. I paid for it. I don't even remember what it was. And then it wouldn't link to the TV. So I tried to blow it up on the TV, and it would freeze. It would stop. It would crash. So the whole thing crashed. The second fight, people started commenting, or the promoters promoted a certain time. That time did not start at that time, and then people started commenting. Was like, "Hey, this is the link. This is the link." So we started going through the link. It was like, "You need to put your credit card." Blah blah.
That thing is, it was a cluster because it was on a Facebook Live.
It was supposed to be Facebook Live, and it wasn't supposed to be like a pay-per-view payment or redirect you to a different website. So Ashley ended up putting her credit card in. We got scammed. We ended up getting all that taken care of. But
so did Clark. Yeah.
Then the Facebook Live link actually dropped, and they started like 30 minutes late. So I will say this was the first time that I saw you fight that wasn't either practicing or sparring or any kind of stuff like that. Because we used to fuck around a lot at Title. Yeah. Yeah, we worked mitts. I wore the bodysuit quite a bit. Daniel dropped me to my knees a couple times. You kicked my leg so damn hard, I'm pretty sure I got PTSD from. But this was the first time I actually saw you fight. And I'm not going to lie. And I say this in the least dramatic way. My butthole was puckered. It wasn't the fear that you were going to get hurt at all.
It was different.
It was so different. Mm-hmm. Now talk about. I want to hear your thoughts because I wasn't able to hear everything or talk through everything because I'm not the type of person to blow up your phone on a fight day. Yeah. Or regardless of who it is, sports.
I called you after.
What it is, and I was expecting that.
I think you were the only person
Now go through and tell me about your thought process going from morning of or weigh-in to the end of the fight.
So first off, let's go all the way back to when I broke the leg. We didn't know when I was going to get to fight again, but when I had my
because they give you like an 8-month.
They gave me 8 months to it being good to go.
Before training and beginning to fight, correct?
Yes. And then they told me, okay, well, then after that, you could look at a fight after 8 months. So they estimated about 10 months to a year that I would be back in there. So I broke my leg, and when Landon and I were backstage, props to fucking Landon, first and foremost. Because if you could imagine anybody there watching me, imagine the dude in my corner watching me break my fucking leg in such a weird-ass way. And then, oh my God, he was having a fucking anxiety attack.
And I think I would have been worse. I would have been feeling worse if I was there. Oh yeah. We had just found out we were pregnant, so going down there with COVID still, and I think it was just a whole new. The new variant had just came out. It was
their first show back after COVID.
The new variant was coming out, and we were trying to play it safe, so we watched it at home. But holy shit! Man.
Yeah. So I break my leg, and when we're backstage, we meet this guy and his fighter, right? And they didn't have enough boxing gloves for the amount of people doing Muay Thai, so they came up to me and they're like, all right, after your fight, you're going to give your gloves to him, so you're going to have to get him off right after. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I was talking to him, and they looked like they were confused. They were like, well, fuck, we need to warm up. So I was like, hey, I've got some 12-ounce gloves. I'll give them to y'all. And we made friends with them. And their names were Robert and Jose. Robert was the coach, Jose was the fighter. So Lane and I made friends with them. We were bullshitting with them a little bit. So we all added each other on Facebook after the fight. They both reached out to me and they're like, hey, we heard what happened. We're so sorry. That fucking sucks, yada, yada. And so I started following them. I was like, these guys are cool. And so whenever my leg's good to go, I was going to meet with Landon to just do some boxing. Because the second the doctor came in at like I don't even know what mark it was, like 2 or 3 months after. And he looked at me, he goes, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He goes, you are at X point and you look like someone who's 4 weeks after where you're at right now. Yeah. He goes, this is making sense. I was like, well, I'm doing a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. I'm doing cryo all the time. I'm getting IVs. He was like, oh, shit. Okay. He goes, you don't need to come see me anymore because you can walk on it fine, and this is kind of insane. Now,
the way that you attacked your training was something that concerned me because you were so headstrong going in, but I knew you were
stubborn.
I know you were taking care of your body because I know you were doing cryo and then you were doing the
hyperbaric oxygen chamber and all that stuff.
Then you were doing that constant
photobiomodulation, everything. I wanted to make sure. I was like, okay, y'all told me I'm going to be fighting at X point. I'm fighting for that. I was like, because
I think when I went over and you were laying in the backyard, you told me like I'm coming out early, like I'm taking care of my shit. You were even dieting at the time, but still like splurging every once in a while. But you were getting yourself ready to fight, and you were still on a freaking scooter.
Yeah. So I forgot what point it is. I'll have to go back and look. That I looked at him and I was like, he told me, okay, you can start doing elliptical and stuff like that. I was like, cool, can I box? And he goes, you can't kick anything. I was like, can I box? And he goes, yeah.
And that was how long after the surgery?
Like 11, 12 weeks maybe. If that,
that's insane.
Whatever it was, I think it might have even been sooner than that, but he was just like, he goes, with how your leg health, he goes, he goes, I have not seen someone be able to move the way they are on your foot right now. Because I remember it was one time, the last time I saw him, I got my foot x-rayed, And I looked at them and I was like, okay, can I just walk back to the office or do I have to put the boot back on? They go, if you can walk on it, that's fine. I was like, cool. And I walked back and I walked past and I see him at a station. He looks up from a piece of paper and I see him double take. He was like, what the fuck? And I go sit down and he goes, I haven't seen anybody this soon with this kind of injury, walking this quickly, able to move as effortlessly as you are and all this stuff. Because fun fact, I didn't do any physical therapy. I did this shit myself. Want to preface that. Because
and,
I don't
and
want to
not
get
only
into
that,
it. There was
but
a
your
whole up with the
leg,
insurance.
your leg changed within
It shrunk
2
up
weeks.
quick. It shrunk up
Within
quick.
2 weeks, I think, when we went over, probably within 2 weeks of a time, you were seeing a lot of change.
Yeah, so we healed drastically quickly. The leg shrunk up drastically, muscularly wise. And then the second he gave me permission to box, I was like, cool. And I can go back in and I can find, because that day I literally went and did bag work, boxing wise. And so I think like 2 or 3 weeks after that, I was talking to Landon and I was like, hey, let's meet up and let's do mitts, see how everything goes. Because I had met up and done mitts with you and Derek. And I was like, it's a little sore, it's a little tough, but it's okay.
Because you weren't doing very many motions.
No,
we weren't doing like quick motions. Because I was training with
boxing.
Because I was training with Derek at the time, preparing for the wedding and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember you came out with this 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
And you were off the scooter, but I think you were on an ankle brace. You were supposed to be on a boot.
I was wrapping myself up.
You were supposed to be on a boot.
Yeah.
And you decided just to wrap it up, and then we were in the middle of the park at 100-degree weather.
Yep.
And you were sitting there just boxing.
Absolutely. So we do that, and then I was gonna meet with Landon, and then we were gonna go to my buddy Kelly's gym, but it was closed that day. And I texted him. I was like, "Hey, I think they have open sparring at that VFit place that Robert and Jose go to. Let's just go over there." My fighter friend Jose, and I was like, "Let's just go over there." So I go over there, and I just talked to him like, "Is it whoever spars me? You cool with just boxing? Because fucking leg just broke like X amount of weeks ago." And so I start going. We just start going to open sparring. I start talking with Robert a little bit, and I was like, I really like this place. Because Landon and I, before, we were just meeting at fucking LA Fitnesses or the park or wherever we could find places to actually train. Yeah. And I really, after that last fight, I was like, I need to find a place that I can have as a home and have a full camp if I'm going to continue to do this as a professional. So we meet up there, and I start clicking with everybody. And Jose Montalongo, he's a 3-0 professional Muay Thai fighter. He was the guy I met backstage. He and I clicked really well, and he's now my main training partner. That we'll drill with each other and shit. But Robert just accepted Landon and I in, and I made sure Robert knew. I was like, look, Landon's always going to be my coaching corner. This guy taught me virtually everything I fucking know. I love this guy.
And the thing is, the way that he breaks things down is insane.
Landon,
yeah.
Well, and Robert is incredibly smart, too. Robert's cool as shit, because if you go back, he was like in a killer kickboxer at the time. That in the 80s, kickboxing was the shit. And so I clicked with him really well, business-wise and mentally and everything. And so he invited us in with open arms. And so my full camp now is at VFit Martial Arts in Arlington. And when I got permission to start kicking, I started kicking again. And then when I was good to go to fight, I talked to Robert, and I was like, find me a fight. And we got a call for a fight that was 2.5 weeks out in January. And they said, can you make 195? And I looked on the scale, and I stepped on the scale at 211. I was like, I'm going to figure it out. Because I just told Robert, I was like, all I asked for is opportunity. So we get this fight in Texas City. 2 weeks and 5 days notice, I have to cut 16 pounds. Do it with no issue. The day of weigh-ins, I cut like 7 pounds, and that was a bit of an ass beating. We were doing sauna intervals for 2 hours straight. Once again, props to Landon. He got in there with me and sat in the sauna with me the entire fucking time. He did not need to do that, and he did. We go to Texas City, and we'll get to your original question was describe more in the evening. So I weigh in, I see Mario, my opponent, there. I walk up to him, I was like, hey.
First of all, mad respect to that dude.
Mad respect to him.
Mad respect.
And we'll get to why. But I walk up to him, and because he had a different opponent. He was getting ready for this card. I think that was a big difference. Is like
because he was originally going to fight someone else.
He was originally going to fight somebody else. That person pulled out, and they called me. And they said, "Could your guy make 195?" And I was like, "Yes, that's fine." So they accepted to fight me. So I walked up to him, and I'm big about things being cordial. Unless you and I have a problem, I want everything to be cordial. This is pro fighting. We're both getting paid. Let's just be cordial. I don't understand why there has to be animosity and shit. Like I don't dislike anybody for the most part. So I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, I just want to say thank you for taking the fight. I appreciate it. I know this is technically last notice for you too, so thank you. And he was like, I appreciate you, thank you. I was like, cool. So then we weigh in, we face off. Once again, we shake hands afterwards. I was like, cool.
Because you guys didn't have much time to look at each other's film, right?
No, 0. I mean, 2 weeks and 5 days notice, which we'll get to my next fight coming up and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So the next day we wake up, I felt great. It was the way I went about this camp and actually having a physical place to go to consistently. I was in ridiculously good shape. I mean, I was doing 12 to 16 rounds a day, and my people holding pads for me were getting tired, and I was fine. And that's how I plan for it always to be going forward. It's like, hey, I put in fucking work. That's just who I am. So we go, day of the fight, I feel fine. I feel good. I made weight with no issue. I was a little bit under, because of my body didn't want to shit until I got to the weigh-ins, and I was very upset that I didn't have to cut a pound because I just needed to shit. So then we get to the fight night, and my buddy Kendrick's fighting on the same card. I liked that somebody else I was friends with and trained with was fighting on the same card because he was the main event. Because it kind of took pressure off of me, but also I was fighting somewhere that the only people there were my dad and my brother, and then one of my teammates was there watching. Yeah. That was it. So I got booed because this was this guy's hometown, and it was not my hometown. Houston. I was the bad guy.
It was like south from Texas City's house.
Texas City. It's southeast. It's right above Galveston. So his entire family's there, and I've got like 2 people there, which also leads to my concern where I'm like, fuck, Tommy, just don't fight somebody. Yeah. My dad is a proud man. Let's put it that way.
He doesn't.
The last fight, he almost fought somebody because they were talking shit. Derek had to come up and be like, Mr. St. John, this is not the way to do things. But yeah, so we go back there, and I always get nerves, and there was just a point where, like, ironically, I didn't even think about the leg at all. It's just, you get nervous during the shit, man. And every fighter I've talked to, I'm like, how do you deal with the nerves? I'm like, it never goes away. It's always like, it's pressure, man. You're fighting in front of all these fucking people. It's gladiator shit. Like, you're gonna get nervous. And I'm like, okay. But I remember I adrenaline dumped a couple of times backstage. There was literally a point where I was warming up and I was like, I don't know if I want to be here. Legitimately.
And you texted me that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I told you that after the fight. I didn't tell anybody beforehand. And then after the fight, I told Lane, I was like, there were points we were about to walk out. There was like a fight or 2 before me, and I was considering just dipping. But we go to line up. I walk over to Mario. I'm like, hey, you want to touch up before we go out to fight? He was like, yeah. And I was like, cool. And I think it was nice, things being that cordial. Whether somebody disliked me or not, I don't think it would faze me either way. Because at the end of the day, we're going out there, and we kept it. The biggest thing we did different in this fight is Rob told me this. He goes, your basics are better than his basics. Keep it basic. I was like, okay. Because that first fight, I walk out and I was throwing like fucking side kicks as hard as I could and spinning back shit to the head and constantly throwing to the head with the head kicks, and it was just dumb, like not setting it up. And it was just my nerves getting to me, and I allowed them to get to me.
Sure.
So this time, Rob literally looks at me as we're coming up. He goes, we're having fun. He's like, we're having fun. And that's why I give a lot of props to Rob, is Rob has done this for so long that he kept me very level-headed. So when we get in there, I had so many people text me, and they're like, dude, you looked stone cold. And I was like, really? Because I was nervous as shit.
First of all, he went out there and ran the ropes. So I was like, this fool went down to Booker T's stadium, his arena, and ran the ropes, which was already right off the bat was cool as hell.
I want to preface this. I did it wrong.
Yeah.
So because Lena and Rob go, run the ropes. So I bounced off each rope. No, in traditional Muay Thai, you put your glove on the rope and literally walk your hand around the ropes and like bow at each corner. So I did it wrong.
No, you ran. Okay, listen. This fool ran the ropes like he was a wrestler, and it was the coolest thing because, look, growing up, and we talked about it. We still have these nights where we come over, we watch wrestling. Growing up, Booker T was one of the dang coolest fucking wrestlers I've ever seen. Just because it was his moveset was so unorthodox. It was so unorthodox. The stuff that he was doing was not falling in the traditional guidelines of wrestling. So when you sent me Texas City, I was like, oh, that's cool. The only thing that pops up in my head that's Texas City is Booker T's arena.
Yeah.
And then I looked up the
address.
Turns out I'm
fighting there.
It's inside Booker T's arena. So like, I told Ashley,
I was
like, oh my
him,
gosh.
which was upsetting.
But it's cool, man. Like, he's there, like he walks the locker room type thing. So when I told Ashley about it, like, oh yeah, he's fighting. I was like, Travis is fighting. He's like, where at? I'm like, Booker T's arena. Like, I never said Houston or Texas City. But seeing you run the ropes was just cool. That was a cool moment for me because I was just like, that's fucking dope. But you ran the ropes like a freaking. I'm talking about like boom, and then went to the next one.
Well, to be fair, it did help me because I wanted to see how much give I had. So if I had to lean back to dodge a hook or something, that would be helpful.
Because throughout the fight, you guys hit the ropes quite a bit, but
he kept tying me up because he was
hard hitting throughout the whole.
Yeah.
The reason I was so nervous was, like, again, it wasn't because of the injury, because I knew you had been hitting it and you were taking care of your body and you were ready to do it.
Yeah.
But you guys, as soon as that freaking bell rang, you guys went at each other like y'all.
Start to so that was the thing with this fight is we were banging from start to finish. My boxing did not, and this, I don't want to make it sound like cocky or anything like that when I say this last fight was like 50% of who I actually am as a fighter, because the nerves still kind of got to me a little bit. My hands were not moving the way I wanted them to, where I landed quite a few clean shots on the boxing
But you dropped your hands a lot.
And
I noticed you're dropping your hands a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of times I like to bait people to come in.
Again, I don't know a lot about fighting, so
yeah.
Don't take anything I say with it.
But it's just my boxing was not as crisp as it normally was. And that was very annoying. But what I realized, and that we know with me, is that when I leg kick people, it fucking hurts because I kick hard.
Oh my gosh.
And so we had a game plan going into the fight, and this, just like with everybody, the first leg kick I hit him with, his leg shoots up in the air, and I was like, well,
yeah.
And this is a big way I am.
Was that the game plan, or was it just you checked it and they were like,
it was part of the game plan because we know how hard I kick.
Yeah.
But we were trying to do a lot more teeps stuff. But when I saw that working, and I was like, oh, he's checking my kick, but I'm kicking through it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick with this because I saw how bad it was hurting him. So it's how I am as a fighter, and like I tell people I work with on fighting in our corner is, if you notice something is working, continue to do that, and then we'll talk about it in the corner if I didn't see it. But obviously, if I'm watching someone fight, I can know what's working for them. So I know how hard I kick, and that even if you leg kick me, I'm going to kick through it because I'll deal with the pain in that moment, and it's not really going to phase me because I didn't feel shit until after the fight. But I won 30-25, 30-25, 30-26, which is 2 10-8 rounds on two different judges' scorecards, which isn't normal, but it's also because I got... They said only 2 knockdowns, which is kind of annoying because it was technically 4 because they called 2 as slips, which definitely weren't slips. Like if you rewatch the fight, it's like... But here's the thing is most Muay Thai fights are just like boxing rules. After the 3rd knockdown, they'll call the fight. So I think they were kind of like trying to just keep the fight going because it was leg kicks that I dropped him twice for sure. And then I head kicked him too. But I wasn't close enough that when I rewatched the fight, it was with I literally hit him with just my big toe and it rocked him. Because if it had been full foot, which I thought it was. Or
shin.
Yeah, or shin, he would have been out.
Now, when I was watching that
was my question.
I heard...
How were you even sitting down? Could you?
I was sitting down for probably like 2 minutes.
Okay.
After that, I was like a half squat on the couch.
I wish I had video of you.
Because Ashley...
Of Clark's house and of Emily's house.
Ashley literally elbowed me in the knee and was like, bro, you need to shit the fuck down. Like, you're making me nervous. And I'm like, bro, I'm nervous as hell. When I heard that kick, first of all, I heard the noise.
Yeah.
And it literally sounded like somebody just slapped the shit out of you. Yeah. And second of all, I saw the recoil on his head, and...
He wants to preface, this is when I head kicked.
This is the head kick, and I saw his recoil on his head, and I was like, "Oh, he's out."
I thought it was too.
The fact, and this is when I go back to mad respect to this guy, because I saw his head, his back was from the angle of the live stream. His back was against me.
Yeah.
I saw the kick, and this fool made eye contact with the camera.
Yeah.
So with his back still towards me,
so 1,000-yard stare.
It was just like boom, and I was like, "He's out," and I got up, and I was like,
"Yeah!" So good.
He never went down.
Yeah.
And he looked right back up, and his hands were still up. So at that point, like I said, the nervousness was not from you fighting and getting injured. It was just like I didn't know what to expect. Because this was the first time he's seen you fight.
Yeah, this is the first time he's ever seen me fight.
This was the first time I saw you fight.
Live.
So me seeing that, and then this fool just getting kicked in the head and then just going... I thought you had made full contact with your shin.
No.
And the fact that he went back, I was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, he was tough as fuck. I was like,
holy fuck. Like, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. But then we talked about it later on, and then I rewatched it, and...
I hit him with just my big toe.
You made enough contact with your foot to make a loud-ass slap sound.
Yeah.
And for him to kind of just, like, react to it.
Yeah.
With him making contact. But... Holy hell! Like
if I had
that full fight, just watching it from round 1 to
it's entertaining.
Dude, it was nonstop action.
Yeah. So the big props to Mario because after we ended the fight, we were joking around that one of the commission guys came over. He was like, "Yeah, Mario was joking with me, asked me why you kicked him so hard." And he comes up to me after the fight. He goes, "Why you kick me so hard?" I was like, "Bro, you kept getting up."
Yeah.
I was like, There's one
because
point,
you landed. First of all, you landed probably
30 plus leg kicks,
and
mostly to the calf.
And most of them were in the first round, because a lot of solid hits that you made in the first round made such hard impact. And I believe right after the second round, right after the first round, he couldn't put his foot down. Because he walked towards the corner and he was putting his foot down and he would bring it up immediately.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, it's not going to last long.
Yeah.
It went 3 rounds, I believe.
But yeah, and here's the thing is I'll preface this, and this sounds weird when I say Mexicans are fucking tough. They're tough as shit. They're just tough. Mexicans and Irish, if you look at that in fighting, it is what it is. Those are the 2 toughest races. Like, we have ridiculous chins that, I mean, I kicked this dude in the face. I hit him with probably 20 calf kicks.
I mean, his calf was probably 2 or 3 times the size.
And I have pictures of it. It's nuts. So that it was swollen to like 3 times that. Let's face it. This isn't even me talking myself up. It's if anybody else fought me, that first round, they would have been leg kick TKO'd. I was literally sitting there, and after the second time I dropped him with leg kicks, I see him put his hands on his knee and push himself up, and I look back and I was like, how the fuck are you getting up?
I did not understand that.
I was legitimately like, how the fuck are you getting up? Not only that, but 2 times in the clinch, I caught hard, clean elbows. I got this great video of the photographer that got it, like, full on, that I was like,
not
how
only
did he
that,
not
you
go
got some
out?
good knees in.
I got quite a few good knees. I mean, it was...
And solid hits to the head.
Believe it or not, I walked back to my corner after the fight, and I looked at Rob and Landon, and I go, I lost that fight. And they go, and Rob goes, let's see what the judges have to say. And then it's like, oh, I had 2 10-8 rounds. I didn't lose a single round. I was like, what the fuck? And that emotion hit me, man, because I was like, damn, they said we weren't going to come back for X amount of time. This means a lot to me. It's my first professional win.
Yeah.
And yada, yada. And
I saw this towards the end.
Okay.
Go through the process of running out of the ring.
Oh!
And then having to run back.
So,
because me watching it live, I was just like, first of all, you stepped and you didn't step on the actual steps. You stepped on a step stool. And I thought, this motherfucker just fought 3 rounds and rolled his ankle on a chair.
So, I win, right? They announced my name and I started hearing the scores and I was like, holy shit. I was like, there's no way I got beat that bad, so that must be me. And they announced me. I was like, what the fuck? Because you're fighting off an instinct. I'm not fully aware of what's going on.
Sure.
You're fighting off an instinct.
And I was going through the same thing because I did not know how the things were scored. So as soon as it scored, it meant nothing to me.
Rewatching it,
But then when they said your name, I got so emotional. Yeah. Not just because like I knew you had won or I knew you had lost. It was the past but I knew months. That whole 8 months of how hard you were working, how hard you were putting your body to, and how hard your mental state had gotten. Yeah.
So that was one of those moments where, I mean, it was important to me that, we had gone through all of that. But, so they announced my name. And I was like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. And rewatching the fight, he didn't hit me as near as much as I thought. I clearly dominated the fight. I dropped him officially twice. It was 4 times, but they said I dropped him twice. Yeah. Rewatching it, he never had me hurt. That was the thing, is people his family was freaking out when he hit me clean one time with a good hook. He got you on the head, with a good hook, and I covered up, but I wasn't hurt. I was covered up because, that was clean. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get knocked out. Let's cover up and stay tight. So I covered up. I moved, calf kick, move, cross, and I was moving and I was throwing intelligently. Yeah. And I was moving. Here's the thing is, if you're going to eat a hook, you don't want to try to stiff and just take it like that. You want to move with your punch. So when you throw it, if I saw it was about to connect, I would move with it so it didn't do as much damage. Make contact, yeah. So people thought he was hurting me. I was never rocked in any way, shape, or form. I was never truly hurt.
Keep going. I gotta take a leak. That whiskey hit.
There was one moment in the clinch that he threw a knee to my, it hit, and I felt it literally hit my stomach, like my actual stomach intestine. And that I was like, ooh, I don't want to take 3 or 4 more of those. That didn't feel good. But other than that, I was never hurt during that time. I never really had any issue. He never had me in any real danger. It was literally just me minding my P's and Q's, just sticking to my basics, kicking the hell out of him, landing some clean shots. I landed a really solid cross, a couple good hooks, a couple of jabs, a shitload of leg kicks, good kicks to the body, landed some great reinforcing knees to the head that he semi-blocked. But I mean, it was pretty clear that I won all 3 rounds with zero question, and 2 by a large margin. That, to preface this, to get a 10-8 round, it's very difficult. I mean, it literally has to be, you have to drop your opponent. That even if I hadn't dropped him, when it came to volume-wise, I definitely outlanded him the entire time with zero question. So yeah, I mean, it was a fun, difficult fight. It was nice getting 3 full rounds in there. I wanted to finish like I want with every single one of my fights. Everybody wants a quick night. Everybody wants a quick finish. But unfortunately, I didn't get to have that quick finish. It is what it is. But yeah, so I mean, it was fun. I had a great time. It was super chill being cordial with him. We bullshitted a little bit after the fight, and it was really enjoyable. But yeah, I was never hurt in that fight. I was just, when you see me cover up, it was just me being intelligent and like, I don't want to eat more of those because I could get to a point where I could get hurt. But I mean, he was the one thing I didn't expect with him that I watched video on is he was faster than I expected. His hands were faster than I expected. Okay. I was like, okay, because you see me come out and I checked 2 of his kicks with no issue. And these guys, they don't realize like how hard
you were going for his head a couple times.
I kicked him in the face, and then at the beginning of the 3rd round, I kicked him, and I went to go through it for a head kick again. I didn't set it up, so I telegraphed it a little bit, so he kind of leaned and caught it, but caught his arm, and he was like the beginning of that third round 3. Holy shit, we were just going from the second the bell hit.
As soon as the bell hit, you guys were swinging at each other. There was
not a lull in that entire fight.
No, not at all.
And that was the other thing I didn't expect, where I was like, fuck, this was a banger from bell to bell.
So cover this real quick, and I don't know if you already did or not. Boy, that thing hit real hard. I did not know about this until you called me. When you ran out of the ring to see your dad.
So that was the thing is, they announced my name to win the fight. I was like, this is awesome. I'm taking a picture with my coaches. I go over and I talk to Mario's corner. They were all cool as shit. I was like, thank y'all so much. He had one corner man. He didn't want to say anything. I was like, hey, man, I appreciate y'all. Like, reach out, like, shake my fucking hand. Like, it is what it is. But his main coach, like, hugged me and everything. He was like, you did good, man. You kick hard as shit, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I appreciate you, brother. I'd love to come and train with y'all. Because I would go and train with him for sure. But, so all that gets done. We're wrapping up. And I kind of look around and I was like, I need to be with my dad. So I got out. I literally walk over to the ring and I look over and I go, "Where's my dad at?" And someone who wasn't,
and he's not lying. Like, this is literally
this is live. You can see this on video. I go, "Where's my dad at?" And someone who didn't know me or my family go, "He's over there!" And I fucking hop out and I go running over there. And the commissioner was like, "Hey, get back here!" And I'm not here. And I go over and I hug my dad. He goes, "Hey, I think you need to talk to them." And the ref was like, "Get over here!" And I was like, "Oh, my bad." He was like, "You got to talk to the doctor first. They could disqualify you for that." And I was like, "Oh shit, my bad. Please don't do that." He was like, "It's all good. Don't be a dumbass." I was like, "Sorry, I needed to be. I felt like I needed to be with my dad in that moment." Because it's like,
because it was fast. As soon as they announced it, you went to go pay your respects to that corner. And then I just saw you jump off.
Well,
and I heard your name and like fingers being pointed and stuff, and it threw me off because I was just like, wait a minute, the match is over. Like, what's going on? And then it wasn't until I called you later. It was like, bro, you could have broken your foot because there were these stairs leading up to his corner. Okay, on the way up, he went up those stairs. On the way down, he did not decide to go through those stairs. There was a corner chair.
See, I don't remember this.
So there was a black chair that was just a foldable chair that they would grab and put in the ring for you to sit. He stepped on that and like took another step, but the thing is when he took a step, that chair went sideways, and then I was just like, this motherfucker done fought 3 rounds, kicked this fool in the leg 50 times and rolled his damn ankle on the way out. So that took me up. I was like, this fool about to break his ankle. So seeing that and then seeing the thing that I did not know was you had to get checked out prior to leaving the ring.
So basically, the doctor has to come up to you and talk to you and be like, "Hey, are you good?" And I literally told him, I was like, "My shin hurts a little bit, but other than that, I'm fine." He was like, "All right, cool." Because after that point,
is that an insurance thing?
The organization is no longer liable insurance-wise for you. So the second you get out of the ring, they want to check you, make sure you're good, and then send you on your way. Because anything after that, if you go to the hospital, that's on you. That's not on them.
Right.
So it's where it's smart on their part, but. Yeah, I guess to end it off, we've been going almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours. But what's next?
So I'm fighting May 7th at Texas Live again for Extreme Knockout again, who I made my pro debut with. I'm fighting a guy named Jason Klein. I literally like this guy. We're actually going up in weight. So my last fight was 195 pounds. This will be at a catch weight of 220. He did not need to do this, and this is why I have so much respect for this guy, is because, I mean, he's 43, he's a little bit older, but he's a big boy, and he's tough. He's a little bit shorter than me, but he usually fights at like 250. He and I have been cordial. We've talked about training together, and Rob, my head coach, calls me, and he goes, "Hey, you're fighting Jason Klein in May." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I accepted this fight for you." He goes, "You can beat him." And I was like, "But I like that guy." He goes, "You're going to fight people you like." And I was like, "Okay." And so Jason messaged me on Facebook like the next day. He goes, "What weight do you want to fight?" I was like, "I've agreed to this at heavyweight, so it's up to you." He was like, "What about 225?" I was like, "Dude, once again, I agreed to it at heavyweight. It doesn't matter to me." So he said, "Okay, we'll do 2025." Then we signed the contract a few weeks, like a week or two ago.
About a week ago, yeah.
And they said, "Oh, it's going to be at 220." I was like, once again, that's fine, because I'll probably weigh 210, 212 for that fight.
Are you going to put up weight, or are you going to stay where you're at?
No, I'm going to keep exactly where I'm at. I feel very good at this weight. I'm walking around like 208, 210, 211, something like that. So we're going to do that. It's May 7th at Texas Live for XKO again. This will be a cool one because it'll be a week removed from a year exactly to when I broke my leg in that arena. So, yeah, it'll be cool. I think y'all are going to go to it, right?
I will be there, yeah.
Yeah, so this will be
whether it's on your corner or on seats, I'm definitely going to be there.
So this will be big because it's cool that I actually turned down a fight recently, not because of any kind of fear of the opponent, but because they had an option for me at the end of February. We said no to just because it was fresh off. Like, would have been 3 weeks after this previous fight. And my shin was still pretty beat up, but also because I was like, no, I want to focus on Klein. I'm moving up in weight, but also for once I want to have a full fucking fight camp. Everything has been less than 3.5 weeks. Everything. The last two have been less than 3.5 weeks. So I was like, I want a full camp for once in my life, especially fighting a guy I have respect for because he's got big old nuts. He's got big balls. You know what I'm saying?
Never seen him, but okay.
Balls. I'm just assuming, like, this dude used to be a professional bull rider. He's got big nuts, man. And he I've watched some of his fights. He slangs and bangs. He's a fun fight. With all due respect to him, I think I can beat him. So I'm going into this fight thinking I can beat him, and it is what it is. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. Cool. Yeah. Either way, I want to be friends with him afterwards, and I want to train with him afterwards. Sure. Because I respect the fuck out of this dude. So I do have sponsorship opportunities available. If y'all are interested.
Now, where can people reach you for sponsorship?
So message me on any of my social media, and I will send you a quote, or message my coach Rob at VFit Martial Arts. We will get you that information. But yeah, so May 7th, you can buy tickets now if you would like to actually go to Texas Live. There will also be a pay-per-view. Go to my social media, and I will get you the information for that.
Do people need to put your name on the tickets?
It is. I believe it should be an option that you should select my name because it helps the organization know I'm a draw and that people are buying pay-per-views because of me and buying tickets because of me. So come and see me fight. It'll be fun. I'll have a full camp, so I should be 100% for this fight. Zero excuses, nothing. This should be the best version of me, and I appreciate you guys. So, it's been, holy shit, an hour and 47 minutes.
Of catching up. We've had a lot 8 months.
So one last time, cheers, mate.
Cheers on the upcomings and hopefully more videos.
Yes,
so let us know what you guys.
That's the big thing is we're going to try to get back to this on a consistent basis. If it's not at least weekly, it'll be every other week, zero question. And then expect more things on the channel, everything from TKO Talk to Champ Cast being back and everything too. And we're gonna try.
And
to
this could just change into a drunk cast because
I'm
wasn't much
very
of a
tipsy right now, and I need to piss like
a
a So we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank y'all very much.